Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope all is well for you as we are continuing to live in this kind of new reality that we find ourselves living in. And we're going to the Word each day just to try to find some strength and hope as we're dealing with things from the perspective that we are walking through. And so we've been looking at the Psalms because I think there's so many parallels to David's life as he walked through the difficulties of his life and how he found hope and faith and trust in the Lord, even in the midst of really difficult situations. So we're going to look at Psalm 31 today. It's a little bit longer, so I don't know that I'll read the whole thing for you, so you can take that time and read it, or shut it off right now and then read it and then come back. But it's an interesting psalm. Different people have different ideas as far as the timing of the psalm. So, David's writing these psalms. His whole life he's writing psalms. And they become worship songs for a lot of Jewish worship. And we've adapted them to our worship times as well. This isn't one that I've heard a lot of songs sung about, but David is expressing himself to the Lord. And I think this is probably during the time of his son Absalom's rebellion. And if you remember what happened, Absalom, his son, David had some difficulty with him along the way and actually exiled him for a season. And then he went and brought him back. And what did he get for that grace that he offered his son Absalom? Well, Absalom ultimately tried to take the kingdom from his father. And he did it subversively and tried to win the people's hearts over. He would sit in the city gates and people would come to talk to David, and Absalom said, well, the king doesn't have time to talk to you, but I do. And if I were king, I would. And over the course of time, he swayed the people. He was a very charismatic, good-looking young man. And ultimately, he ends up swaying the people. The Lord used it to chasten David, but still, can you imagine your son stealing the kingdom from you? How you would have felt, and then everything that happened during that time is he had to flee from Jerusalem, and Absalom was coming, and it's just really a tough time in David's life. And the reason these Psalms are important is because we can identify, obviously, the COVID-19 thing that we're dealing with doesn't have anything to do with our sons trying to take away our business or our kingdom or subversively mess up our families or something, but what it does do is it puts us in a place to where we feel helpless, right? A lot of these protests that are taking place, you look at them and you kind of go, these people, I wish they would just chill. But the issue is that some of them are scared and they feel helpless because their businesses are falling apart and they don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. And so because of their fear and their anxiety, they act out. And so, I don't even know if they all thought through all the ramifications. I'm sure some of them have, because it's a different point of view. But the issue is that we can find ourselves in this situation, whether you're dealing with the virus in your physical body or whether you're dealing with the uncertainty of what all of this is going to produce in your life, your finances, your family. There's just a lot of uncertainty. I mean, even as we come through it, those of us that are very positive and hopeful people, you're still kind of going, I don't know what tomorrow holds. So from these words of David in these Psalms, we can draw strength, and we can see how David dealt with these seasons of stress in his life. So he starts off and he says in verse 1, he says, "In you, Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock and my refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. Free me from the trap that is set for me. For you are my refuge. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Redeem me, O Lord, the God of truth." So David finds himself in this situation where he's been run out of his own capital city. His own son has tried to take the kingdom from him. And here he finds himself crying out to the Lord. And instead of just being angry and embittered, he comes back to the place that God is his strength and his refuge. And it's just a powerful thing. Verse 6, he says, "I hate those who cling to worthless idols. I trust the Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in your love." For you saw my affliction and knew my anguish in my soul, and you have not handed me over to the enemy, but you have set my feet in a spacious place. In other words, David's saying, listen, Absalom hasn't killed me. I'm still alive. You've set me free. And even though I'm exiled right now, I still am trusting you. And he goes on, be merciful to me, Lord, for I am in distress. My eyes grow weak with sorrow, my soul and my body with grief. My life is consumed by anguish, and my years are groaning. My strength fails because of my affliction, and my bones grow weary because of all my enemies. I am the utter contempt of my neighbors. I am the dread of my friends. Those who see me on the street flee from me. I am forgotten by them as though I were dead. I have become like broken pottery. For I hear the slander of many. There's terror on every side. They conspire against me and plot to take my life. He's having a bad day, right? He's really dealing with this situation in a very difficult way. And I think a lot of us are kind of dealing with it too. And I love how he ends it. I'm going to skip forward because I'm out of time already. It says, love the Lord, all you saints. The Lord preserves the faithful, but the proud he pays back in full. Be strong and take heart, all you who hope in the Lord. And I think one of the biggest issues is not being proud. I think as Americans especially, we become very, very proud. You say, what do you mean I'm proud? It's not so much proud, but we become secure in our own mindset. You know what I mean? It's like our economy is good, we're secure. And I think this thing brings us to a place of humility where we're going, okay, maybe I'm not as secure as I thought I was. And I need to put my hope in the Lord, something that is secure rather than finances, job, or even our nation. My hope is in the Lord. And I think the Lord's trying to get us back to that place to where we really focus on him and that our hope truly is in him. So I want to challenge you today to press into him like never before. Be encouraged, but make sure your hope is in him and that our future is tied to that. All right? Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.